How did you decide to move to LA? Did you know you were ready, or was it scary for you?
Well, I got into grad school, and I got into film school in Ohio. I was there for 3 years, and I told myself, hey, I studied film. I'm in the US already. I want to stay. And then it was just a question of, am I going to New York? Am I going to LA? And I chose LA, and that was it. It was as simple as that. And I had some friends who also moved out here at the time. Actually, one girl I went to grad school with, we moved out here together. From our class, we were the two who moved out at that time. And yeah, so that was...
There's no question for you? It was just, you had to do it?
I had to do it. I wanted to try it out and see what that does. We have the most talented, best people in the industry. We have them here in LA, and I would have regretted it, I think, not coming out here.
And how did you survive when you came out here? Did you find film work right away?
Well, it's tough. It's really tough in the beginning. So you come out here and you just work, on whatever film or commercial or whatever you can get, you work on it as a production assistant. I didn't know anybody. Wait, I knew one person other than the person I moved out with, and she, because it's funny, she was an actress in one of my student films, and she had moved out before I moved out, and she got me my first production assistant job, and that helped a lot, and so you just do that, and it's not fun at all. It's not fun. It's not glamorous.
Was it on a feature or a short film?
That was for a production company that shoots promos and commercials. So, it wasn't like it wasn't a 5-week gig or a 6-week gig. It was really just 2 days here, 2 days there, that kind of thing. And I worked on a feature as a PA, and I, for free, for a few weeks, just to make connections. And that, that's a problem because LA is expensive, as you know, and so that's an investment, and then you have a credit card and you just use that to buy food.
Did you ever have to rely on assistance, like going to food pantries or?
No.
Okay.
No.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to not have to do that, but it's tough. I mean, yeah. I didn't live a very glamorous life. I still don't.
And how long have you been out here?
Since 2011.
Okay, long time.
Yeah.
I've only been here a month.
Well, welcome to LA.
Yeah, and I do go to the food pantry. They have good stuff there.
I moved to America in 2006. I finished up college, got my bachelor's degree in 2006. And I loved it so much, and I just wanted to stay. So it was always a dream of mine to go to film school. And basically, after finished my bachelor's, I applied to a bunch of film schools and got accepted and went to film school in Ohio for 3 years. What got me into film? I mean, that's always kind of a tough question. I wish I had a really good anecdote of, this changed my life. I watched this movie that changed my life. But really what happened was a friend's dad had a camera, had a camcorder. And so my friend and I started playing around with it, made short little movies, and they were really silly. But it was probably there that I realized, oh wow, this is fun. It's a lot of work. I knew that already, but I loved when we got to sit down at the end and we watched it, and it's something we can never show to anybody else. It's really bad, but for us it was fun and we really enjoyed it. So then that maybe gave me the idea. And then, I must have been 13, 14, and then, you kind of develop this thought. It's like, okay, maybe there are people working in that field. It doesn't have to be just this dream. And that's, and I started working towards that after I graduated high school.
And so were you doing that all in Germany?
Well, I graduated high school in Germany. Then I went to a media school where essentially it was pretty much hands-on training for editing and animation, stuff like that. And then I studied theater at a university in Germany for a couple of years. But my problem with that was that it wasn't hands-on. It was a lot about theory and history. And while I think that's important, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted to create something. So I transferred to school in the US. And that's here. Theater really means, okay, now you're acting, now you're talking about the design of the stage, talking about directing, all those kinds of things where it's like, wow, this is actually very important to, creating something of your own. And also I thought it was important to work with actors. I think a lot of people who go to film school are not really used to that, and then they show up on set and they don't really know what to do or what to say. So I feel like that was really valuable. And then after that, I finally went to film school, and I already had all that background, which I think helped me a lot.
That touches on one of my later questions I had, which was, what mistakes do you see other directors making? Because I've seen your credits, you've worked with other directors, not to call anyone out, but...
that's a tough one because...
well, you mentioned coming out of film school, people don't know how to direct actors.
I think a lot of times that is one thing. I've been on a set before where it was a long day, it was a tough shoot, and then the director tells the actors, okay, and you fall down right here. You're running, but then you're falling down here. And she said, why? Please don't tell me it's because it looks good. And I felt, it's tough because, yes, you want it to look good. Sometimes it's like, oh man, I really wish that she could stop right here. I really wish, and there are ways to communicate that and base it on the script, base it on who that character is. But yeah, that's one thing. I feel like I see a lot of people come out here and they went to film school and they know everything there is to know about cameras, about anything. Like, they're geniuses when it comes to that. But I feel like there's more to it, it's not just the acting, it's also, hey, maybe pick up a book, read a little bit, and actually you have something to watch the news, and watch people, and maybe you have something to say, before you pick up the camera and shoot. So, but that seems, on the other hand, learning by doing. You have a camera, just do it, go for it. It's easy for me to say that right now. I'm sure I make a lot of mistakes. Everybody does. It's just, you want to get through the shoot and make it the best film you can. That's one thing. And the other thing, what else? What are the mistakes? I think a lack of prep, which, if you're working on an indie film, then, I know that right now I'm directing, but I'm involved in producing. I'm involved in this and that because, that the resources are limited. So everybody has to wear several hats. Everybody has to, work in different positions. So there's that. So a lack of prep, I would say. And people don't spend enough time on their scripts, which I don't understand, because the script is the one original thing on a movie, and everybody else, including the director, everybody else is just interpreting. So that I don't understand, but everybody, writing sucks. And it has its moments, and sometimes you write something and you feel like, this is great, and you read it again, it's like, this is great, but you're sitting alone in a room, and it's depressing, and so you want to get out of that room and you want to start prepping and you want to start shooting. But I think a good script takes time, and if you want people involved, if you want people to be excited about a movie, then make sure that the story is interesting.
Do you find that honesty is the best policy with actors? If they say, why am I over here, why am I doing this, you just say literally, well, it's just because the light is here or whatever? Do you have do you kind of play them a little bit?
I think that depends on the actor. Yes, honesty should be the foundation of any work relationship. And yeah, they're just people working on a movie. So yes, but tact helps. So there's a fine line between being honest and rude sometimes. It's just, I think it really depends on the actor. If I'm working with somebody who I've worked with for years, then I can be like, no, look, no, don't do this. It makes you look stupid, and I guarantee you that actor is not going to do that again. Or just like, no, this is what we're trying to do with the scene. So for example, talking with Yuko, who's going to play Ashley, with her, I've worked with her for years now, and I can tell her, look, this is what we're trying to get out of this scene. So how can we make this work? These are the important moments this is what we need to hit. How do we do it? And you collaborate, and at the end of the day, I'm sure that's what they want.
Do you find yourself doing that a lot with actors, meaning telling them what the greater setting of the scene is, or they don't need to know that a lot
That depends. I think that, again, that depends. It could be an actor that I've never worked with. Then I talk to them about, okay, so who's that person? What's the motivation? What does that person want? And we go from there. And I mean, if the script is right, then that matches. Then I don't have to say, oh yeah, your character kind of wants this, but we want this out of the scene. Doesn't really make too much sense. So if the script's right, then yeah, the character motivations will just make perfect sense, and there shouldn't really be that much explanation necessary.
And ideally, how much preparation do you have with the actors, and how much rehearsal do you do? Some people don't believe in rehearsal, and some will do it for weeks.
I am not experienced enough to just show up on set and just feel it out. I also don't have the time for that when we're on set. So I leave that to big directors who've done that for decades. I can't do that. I have to prep, and I want to rehearse. I want to get to know the actors, and I want to, they will probably bring something to the table that I had never thought of. And so, yeah, I definitely enjoy rehearsal, and I, there are some people who say, don't over-rehearse it and it's going to feel fake. I was like, well, it is also your job to make it sound like you're saying that for the first time. That's that. But in reality, of course, everybody's working on something. Everybody's busy with something. And on a low-budget film, you just take that into account and just work around other people's schedules and then rehearse as much as possible.
Do you think actors enjoy that process, or do some of them want the spontaneity of discovering it while they're being filmed?
I can't speak for all the actors, but yeah, I'm sure there are some who enjoy that, and that's fine. I can just tell you what I prefer and what I think will give us the best possible film. And that's, we have to rehearse and discover things while we're rehearsing. It's not just, I want you to walk from here to here. I don't need a rehearsal for that. I want to really see, okay, well, how does that make you feel? What does that do? And maybe I think, this person's going to cry. Maybe in the script it says, she's going to cry, but maybe the actor starts laughing. I'm like, this is much better and so much more interesting. People just react a different way, and I think you got to see what the actor's bringing to the table and just work with that, and usually it's better.
Do you find yourself modeling yourself on other directors, meaning you look at how they did things? And that's what I do. Mm-hmm. So I'll look at my favorite directors and say, wow, they do this process. Sidney Lumet rehearsed for weeks. David Fincher does a lot of rehearsal. But there's other Clint Eastwood, who I don't know how much rehearsal he does, but apparently he tries to get everything in one take. Then he's done. So the actors better be ready. So do you model yourself on that? Do you have directors that you look to and try and recreate their methods? I
think I just take something from everybody, or and that's both. I read Sidney Lumet's book, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, if I'm Sidney Lumet, then I can rehearse for weeks and weeks and weeks, which in our case, like I said, that really depends on people's availability. But Yeah, I also, I look at directors that I'm working with on set and see what I like about their style, and just I take whatever I think is useful, and what isn't, I don't. I mean, I grew up watching American movies.
Okay.
If you go to a movie theater in Germany, I don't know the exact number, it's probably going to be 80% American movies. It's the same movies you see here. We don't get the smaller ones. There are some movies that are nominated for an Academy Award, and we won't get them in the theater because it doesn't, it's not a big movie. But of course we get all the Avengers, and we get all the big blockbusters. So I grew up with American movies, and then of course there are a few German movies. Run Lola Run I really enjoy, because it's different, it's unique, and I like that. So many movies are just, if you watched a lot of movies, it's like, okay, I know what's going to happen now. I know, okay, I've seen this before, I've seen that before. And I just enjoy seeing something unique, something new.